Well, hello there. Alana and I got up super early this morning, like 4:30 is when we actually left the house. That's so we could get out to just outside Oxford.
Yep.
To the Miami University natural areas.
Yes.
Is that correct?
That is correct.
It's kind of a mouthful. All kinds of nature preserves. We'll talk about that later, but for now, check out this morning we had. Well, we ended up parking over at the DeWitt Cabin trailhead. It was really nice. One of the things that we didn't anticipate was some sort of fog that was right there by the river and stream. And then, as luck would have it, there was some small deer, one doe and two little ones. I think it was two little ones. The one just kept running back and forth in the fog that we got to watch play for just a little bit. That was fun before we hit the trail. Just a few feet of pavement, and then we headed off into the trail and followed along the waterway. And it was really a pretty neat waterway, a very well-maintained trail. And even though you were right along the water, I don't know, it's interesting. You're kind of right down there just outside of town, but it felt very rural, I thought. Even though you could kind of hear cars and some other things. The waterway itself has definitely had some flooding. We've had a lot of rain and flooding, and there was some thatch buildup and everything. One of the things that that you actually pointed out was the trees.
Yes.
There was a lot of like
big trees.
Old growth trees that and breeds that don't usually make it. So there was some sycamores and some other ones that were just absolutely colossal that we weren't used to seeing in the area. In fact, you know, Sugar Creek claims the three sisters. Sugar Creek Township Reserve claims the three sisters that are maples and the largest, oldest in the area, but some of these I think would rival it.
These were pretty big.
Pretty stinking large. Anyway, trail was great all the way along the waterway, skipping up, but as we headed further north towards, I don't remember the name of the little pond we were heading to.
Oh no.
But as we kind of headed up further north and that route, it kept getting more and more thin. In fact, up and around the pond was pretty stagnant and thatchy.
It was a green pond.
It was green.
Green algae pond.
Yeah, so you'll definitely see some B-roll of that where it was just super green. It was kind of neat, but also kind of nasty.
Yeah.
Mosquitoes came out, and anyway, through that little area, there was even some poison hemlock, where we ended up looking it up. There's a couple other weeds in the area that look just like poison hemlock, but we are pretty certain that that trail had some poison hemlock growing on it. That didn't last for long. Once we made our way north and kind of up by a road to cut over to another preserve, then we were okay. Speaking of preserves, so this Miami University natural area is made up of several preserves, all of which have their own. So anyway, you had to write them down so we could get this right.
I had to write these down.
Hit it.
All right, ready? We've got the Bachelor Preserve, Reinhardt Preserve, Kramer Preserve, Western Woods, Beck Preserve, College Woods, Peffer Woods, and Rudder or Rudder, not sure which one.
I would say Rudder.
Preserve.
Yeah. We did not hike all of those. Our 7.4 mile loop did, I think, 3 or 4, and one of those we just kind of skirted on.
Yeah, 3 or 4.
So we did kind of a loop up around the pond, and then we came all the way back down into our car so that we could change out water. It was kind of nice to be able to run a clover pattern with a couple of loops, which is what we did. I see ya. I see ya. After we got back to the car, then we headed
to the cabin.
We headed up to the DeWitt Cabin itself, and that's where we found some of the hiking areas proclaimed the horse pastures to be a different area than they are now. But the mapping on the trail, while sufficient, it was old.
Yes.
So some of the things have moved around for maintenance.
14 years old.
Like 14 years old. But I mean, it was still in good shape, but like the area that was the horse prairie isn't anymore.
Horse pasture is now beans.
It's now a bean field. And then we found next to the cabin the main horse pasture, or at least one of the main horse pastures. So anyway, we hiked then up on out that way. We kind of took some of the canal covered bridge loop, I think it was called. I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure of that trail name, but we popped all the way out right next to the stadium there at the university.
Yes, we did.
We kind of connected. Yeah, walked down the sidewalk for just a bit to connect back to the trail, and then we came back that way, and all along that way was again some of the barns and more horses, which was really a neat area.
Yeah.
Your hip started to bother you a bit, but we had anticipated doing a little bit more mileage.
Yes.
And to that, I think it's an area that we're likely to revisit.
Oh yeah, you could put together quite a bit more mileage.
Yeah, with either doing the Clover or an outer loop, there's a lot to be explored there.
Farther north the loop that we could have done, added in and come back out around. So
yeah, for me, if you're doing it for photography, I think you could really win if you were doing it for nature or birding, because we did see quite a few critters. You have the horses, a lot of different birds. It was really great for all of that. If you're doing it for landscape photography, at least on the day I visited, I struggled to find anything. There was just enough kind of noise. And what I mean by noise in the woods is sort of that down brush or down trees where someone's done a little bit of working. There was just enough of that it was like, well, I just wasn't overly inspired. But it was a fantastic hike. And I had a great time on the hike. So I can absolutely...
Relatively flat.
It was pretty flat.
Yeah.
You were looking for more mileage. We anticipated that you might be having some hip problems. So you wanted mileage, but not necessarily the hills and everything. So it was an area that made it great for that. I would recommend it. Kiddos, would you recommend kids or dogs?
Kids, you gotta wash them. There's some along the stream. It was a washout. It was.
Where we had to kind of jump over that one washout. Yeah. I think all in all, there's many trails that I think would be fine. Actually, one of the main walkways is kind of a little gravelly kind of pitch area that bikes could run down pretty well. So that area you could run, you could have dogs, you could do everything. The hiking trails that we ended up on with the thatch and stuff, because of ticks, because of mosquitoes, and because of that potential, and even
poison ivy.
Poison ivy for sure. Poison ivy was everywhere. Because of those, I would at least be aware. You'd want to wash the dogs right away and not be petting them too much. But that's it. Hopefully you enjoyed this. We really enjoyed the time. I know we've been off a little bit with some of the big travel. We're kind of sticking here a little local. Hopefully you still find these valuable if you're in the area and you're looking for a hike or a little bit of time outside. Anything else to add there, Sugar?
No, don't think so.
All right. Well, hey, if you haven't, and you've made it this far, click the like for me, but more importantly, hit the subscribe. I'd love to see you watch again.
And you can share.
Comment down below. All those things everyone asks you to do. Thanks. We'll see you again. Cheers. Bye-bye. Record. Record. All right. Ready? Dear Lord, everyone's shooting right now. Like... That's what it's like living out in the country on a weekend. Like if you are an animal, you are dying right now. Like if you are like any critter, rat, snake, raccoon, whatever, today is not your day. It's pretty and everyone's out. All right, and now there's a plane. Now there's a plane. Dear Lord, babe. What? It's one of them little, all right.
Little Cessna.
Time out.
You can turn it off.